My ambition is to create a unified brand on all platforms. What is Kylie Jenner wearing? That was a very frustrating moment for me. You have the world's biggest influencer. The problem is to translate it into business. So we can't use her content. Do what you love to do and stay curious. Everywhere you meet our brand, it's just built the way we want it.
Navigating social media can be, well, complicated. Welcome to the Social Media Sucks podcast from Cupco.
Social media really sucks.
Where we unpack the latest trends and help remove the suck from social media.
Welcome back to the Social Media Sucks podcast by Cupco. If you ever experienced...
I like this intro. I like this intro a lot, actually. We should keep this in.
Keep it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
We should open
It's like drink. Ice creams all the time. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
No, if you ever experience the fear of missing out when it comes to social media and marketing trends, then this is definitely the podcast for you. We help you level up your marketing and business skills by covering the latest news within social media and through our inspiring guests. But before we start, do us a favor. If you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel or a podcast, please do so now, because it really helps us get all this inspiration and education out there for more business people and marketers just like yourself. So let's get into today's episode. With me, I have Morten Løwenstein, who is
Hello.
the CMO. That's correct pronounced, right? I hope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sort of.
Great.
Sort of. Okay.
Why not?
I'm pretty open
Why
to
not?
it.
Nobody knows at this point what.
That's like
That's
my
the same
name.
with my last name
I'm
as
like,
well.
call me X. I don't care.
Whatever.
But Morten, you are the CMO at the jewelry brand Maria Black.
Yes.
And of course, we have our CEO with us, Chris Coverness.
What's up, guys? I'm always here.
Did I pronounce that right? Chris Coverness?
That's what the FBI gave me, so I guess that's what I'm going with.
And so by the end of this episode, you will learn the strategies and tactics to manage a global brand with a broad audience.
Wow.
Let's get
love
into
this.
it. Yeah, that's
quite a promise.
That's
Yeah.
quite a promise.
So
You'll be a
let's lower
master.
the expectations a little bit, maybe.
No, we like to pile in thick, and then
Yeah,
people
yeah.
can get disappointed.
This episode, you don't need to go to school, university. You don't need a degree. You just
So
listen
in
to
1
this.
hour from
It's-
now, you'll be.
Yeah.
It's auditive clickbait, you know?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what we
yeah,
practice
yeah.
here, so people think they have to
Get
listen to
attention
the end.
first,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Okay, good.
But first and foremost,
Yes.
we would love to hear something about you, Morten,
Yeah.
and how you get to the position as the CMO you are today.
Yes, definitely. So I've had a career in like marketing and media ever since I studied. I came into that in kind of a coincidence, you know. I was applying for jobs and I was like, yeah, this
Marketing
communication
sounds good.
communication is fun. And then I ended
Yeah.
up in an agency that offered me a job, and I have to be honest and say that for the first, I think, 3-4 months, I didn't even know how we were making money. Or, you know, I didn't know anything about it. But I got into like digital marketing and stuff like that. And I've always loved communication. Not always. That's a big one. But I love communication. I love this kind of this world in a way. And then I sort of just dived into that and sort of made a combination of analytical skills, creative skills,
Cool.
basically a very broad spectrum of communication, going all the way from like very like analytical and, you know, tactical technological things to actually moving more into brand and creative. Also with I think there was a merger of those two at one point when social media kind of became a paid channel instead of just a channel where you were present and posted on Thursdays, because that was when people were online, you know.
Everybody knows that's the best time.
Yeah, Thursday at
It
2
hasn't
o'clock or
changed.
something. Yeah, exactly. Still the same.
Yeah.
But I think, and then going from that, I quit my agency job and became sort of had my own company, doing a lot of freelance work while working part-time also at a different sort of more brand design agency. And I was also doing some music stuff and some, you know, again,
Everything. And
everything. And I think that's
Typical creative.
yeah, no, but you know, I'm very, as a person, very interested in a lot of different things, and I'm very curious. I've always been thinking like, why am I not, you know, super good at one thing? But
Yeah.
So you're a generalist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so. And I've only learned that term like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is what
finally.
it's
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I've kind of, you know, been thinking that, you know, because you need different kinds of people, and that's just who I am. But I've always dreamt of, being like
super focused
on this. But essentially, I think that's not important.
Do you think like CMOs today need to be more like you, that have this range of like creative, tactical, data, technology? Like, do you think that's the new age CMO?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that was something I thought a lot about when I was approached by the company, because I think that you have to, because marketing today touches upon, like you say, data is of course an important thing. You have to know about technology. You have to be creative. You have to be analytical. You have to know business. You have to know economy. You have to be able to calculate where the efficiency lies, and still have the creative in mind. So I think definitely. And then the big task, of course, is to, if you have the possibility to build a team around you that, or hire external resources that.
That's another,
fill the voids of what you can't do yourself, right? I mean,
and still be able to post on Thursday at 4. You need all of that and Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. But definitely, and that, I think that's a main point for me, that you need to have that.
Makes sense.
Yeah. What advice would you give people who aspire to the same position as you do?
Do what you love to do and stay curious.
I like the stay curious part. I think that's key in today's. I mean, the culture moves so fast now that you have to be curious. You can't just put your head in the sand and just say, okay, our brand is one thing and one thing only. Like, of course, it's nice to be focused, like you said, but I think you have to be open to where is the world changing, where is the market changing, and be able to sort of fit into that.
Definitely, and I think for me at one point, I was at my job when kind of the whole shift in social media kind of happened from being all Facebook, and then Instagram came around, and that became a thing, and Snapchat and TikTok and blah blah blah. I was sort of doing these, trends, kind of, what's happening in this world. But at some point, I also felt like the development simply overtook me. I couldn't keep up anymore. So I think that it's also, you can also get become very overwhelmed with all the new stuff that's happening.
That's true. Shiny new objects.
And I've, the number of times I've been sitting with, when I had those clients or whoever, like, oh my God, Instagram is here. We want to be on it. And then you're like, okay, that's great. Perfect. But why? I think, and I think there's so many people do that. We're seeing it right now, I think, with the
metaverse,
NFTs, blockchain, Web3 kind of thing. And you just really have to be careful, and because it's an investment, and we all know that now. It's
you've got limited time.
You've got limited time, and you really have to. It's a massive thing to produce something for a good experience, and I think you have to also be able to prioritize a lot. So I think that staying curious, but also staying curious is in the fields that you can and that's relevant to you.
Stay grounded in some ways,
exactly.
Like not go too. I think it's about staying curious, but also analyzing what makes sense for the brand, what makes sense for you. I mean, we also had Metis on the podcast a few months ago, and Maya Fabek was saying, like,
we've been working with her a little bit.
Okay, great. Before. She was like, listen, we could do everything, but we have a limited amount of resources, and it's important that we don't go too overboard in one area and not deliver on our KPIs, because then we won't get reinvestment, we won't get more money to expand, and it's a journey, and you have to look at
balance.
it that way. Otherwise, you go off the deep end and says, okay, Metis needs an NFT tomorrow, and it's like, well, but we're also trying to build our YouTube channel, and we're also trying to do live streaming. So you really have to be careful that you don't chase after the latest and greatest thing at the detriment of the rest of the things that you've already spent a ton of time building, right? So,
and as I said in the beginning, I think it comes down to the understanding of the business, and two, the connection to the different areas that you are in. The business's connection. Where does the efficiency lie? And what's good working for the brand? We've also, we have a ton of ideas, which is great. But it's also about prioritizing,
Definitely.
Should we do avatars with jewelry? Should we try to get in the Meta store? Should we, with jewelry, because jewelry is a fun thing in that sense. But it's also like, yes, but we need, a bunch of resources.
Yeah.
To do that,
spread yourself too thin.
Yeah, exactly. And we have.
You don't do anything well.
No, exactly. Like, we just do a bit of everything, and that's very important also in prioritization.
Yeah. What does the industry look like in the jewelry, and especially for Maria Black? Like, how do you differentiate yourself?
So the jewelry industry is quite complex in a way. I would say there's a lot of different players in the and a lot of different sort of ways to go about it. I think we are sort of a mid-sized jewelry company, I would say, and we have but we are more sort of structured as a fashion brand. So we have new collections every 3 months, and we have a set of old collections that still, we kind of see ourselves as an arena for people to express themselves, as it says in our strategy, and that's what we really want to. I can go back to that later, but that's what we want to encourage people to do with our jewelry. So that's basically the essence of what we do.
Yeah.
And then we do, a bunch of different things at a bunch of different price levels, at a bunch of different, styles that you can all essentially put together so that it becomes yours. That's kind of the thing, and that's where we differentiate. We also have differentiate on our materials. We have had a really, in the last couple of years, we've changed to more sort of socially and ethically better materials.
Like lab-grown diamonds and things
lab-grown
like that.
diamonds. We are the first brand to collaborate with Fairtrade on a larger scale gold production. We use only recycled silver. It's like so and that's sort of also at the core of the company, but it's not a business strategy. It's more like it's just something that we do, and then we're looking right now at spreading that to the rest of the industry, and kind of we've done a white paper with Fairtrade that's coming out soon, with sort of basically a recipe, how to do this, how can you do it, and what do you have to
so you're actually elevating the industry and trying to help others in the industry as well.
That's what we try to do. We don't keep it a secret or anything. That's and it's it's just a great thing, and that's also essentially
definitely.
I
think that's also what Chris advocates for a lot of the times. Like, you don't have to brand on the new trend that is the CSR track. You don't have to greenwash. You don't have to be green and just be like everybody's doing it now. We have to do it. You don't have to brand it. You just do it because that's kind of the core.
Yeah, I think there's different ways, because you also see someone talking really loud about it before they've actually done a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think we, and also myself personally, am very much of the I think that we should do it before we say it, essentially. And we need to have our path clean before we kind of go out, and we are communicating and we are saying it that we have these new materials, we are gonna work on it, and it's just a core thing of the company, and that's really nice.
I think it's a Danish brand, right? It started.
It is. Yeah.
I think it's also what I like about Danish brands is like a lot of them have that mentality that they're not here to puff out their chest and beat it and be like, we're the best in this. They're very much like
humble.
Let's do it first before we go out and say that we're the greatest in this thing. And I think it can fit into brand strategy when someone is surprised to find out that it's not the core, but they then go, oh, this is actually sustainably sourced. This is fair trade mining. This is a lab grown diamond. So there's no no huge amount of human suffering that's involved in getting this diamond to me. So I think that's a nice addition, and I think they probably feel even better about the jewelry if they come into it like, oh, I really love this jewelry look. And how it expresses what I want to express. Oh, and it's also sustainably sourced. Then it's a win-win, right? And you kind of go along for the journey. Yeah,
we are trying to figure out if it's a selling point that because materials are obviously important, but if the right materials is a like if the how do you say, our materials are a selling point, as if you have the two same pieces of jewelry and you have mined diamonds and you have lab grown diamonds, which one is like
it's a bit controversial, right? Because a lot of people
especially with diamonds,
diamonds are the one, right? And I think it's kind of funny to go out on the street and ask people, especially maybe women, like, are you okay with an engagement ring that's a lab-grown diamond, or would you prefer it to be a real diamond? So,
true.
And I'd like to ask
I'm
you,
wearing diamonds today, but these are blood diamonds.
Okay, maybe not blood diamonds.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, you guys, it's like real gold and real diamonds. I'm like, oh.
Jeez, you're killing people and the planet with your jewelry.
Sorry, guys. I have to look into Maria Black and
Martin's like,
and lab grown.
no, but what's
but the thing is,
would you like? What is your take on it? Like, it is. What's interesting to me about the lab grown thing is it literally is the same product.
Yeah.
It's just made in about 1 month's time versus 1,000 years or whatever it is, billions of years, and it's like, but essentially, like, it's the same product. Like,
it is completely identical, and
but
like,
without the history.
history.
I'm not pro anything. I'm just
No.
saying, like, but it's without the history. I think that's also the selling point for the original diamond, right?
Of course, it is
that value
and
it has.
you take it out of the earth, and there's a lot of there's a lot of very sort of emotional connections to it. We are just, problem is that these materials are also currencies, so that it becomes a very, very wealthy industry and thereby a very, very unequal industry.
Yeah.
Unequal.
Yeah.
Inequality, unequal.
Yeah.
Unequal industry, because it's some people at the top with a lot of money, and the bottom ones, they don't have any shape of any rights at all, and that's just something that we as a company want to work towards bettering.
Makes sense.
Essentially.
Yeah.
But back to the differentiation. Now I remember where we came from. So we have our materials, and we have a sort of a broad set of jewelry that we always add to your stack
collection,
or
yeah.
Exactly. And we add rings that fit together. We have a pop collection, which is like these small coins that you can pop into your necklace or your earring or your finger ring, and you can change them from weekday to weekend to morning, evening, whatever. Super flexible system, which is nice. And then we do piercings, which is also very much a part of our core sort of thing in terms of expression, that you can we have people with piercings all over the years, and it's we're kind of trying to do piercings as a changing the idea of a piercing a little bit, because it's very much a back alley kind of pistol thing, quick in and out, and then you have to wear this weird dot for 3 months. But at our place, we have really nice piercing studios in all our stores, and we have very well educated piercers who are like from that subculture, because it is very much a subculture. And excuse me, but we and then we pierce with gold, 14 karat gold, and you will get to wear the jewelry instantly, and it's like it's a really cool experience, and also for brand activations, it's a really nice thing. We just did an event on Tuesday with we have this van which is turned into a piercing studio.
Awesome.
And people just love it to get in there and be on the street, just get in, get pierced, then you have
spontaneous.
That's interesting.
It's super fun, and it's been.
I'm sure a lot of people take photos of that, share that online.
Exactly.
Like, it feels like it's more. It is more of an experience. Like,
it's a bit extra.
It is a bit extra.
And it is a great experience for people, also for influencers and whoever. It's
I'd like to go and do
thing.
it. Should I get it done again?
Yes, you should.
If I've already got the holes, I don't know if it'd take too much.
Yeah.
Just to pop through
I can
and
do it for
re-pierce it.
No,
just a nail
on the podcast. That'll be the episode. Chris gets pierced. We talk to Maria Black, CMO, Morten.
Spontaneous.
Jesus Christ.
Get on the table.
Clear the table. I'll help you.
If it's a big diamond, a lab grown diamond, then maybe
I can take this ring out. I can
just like,
cover up my blood diamonds.
Put it in the air.
But I'm curious, right? When you have so many collections, drops, and so many different people, how it must be a tough job being a CEO to strategize and execute. CMO, sorry.
You can be the CEO next year.
It must be.
Work on it.
All right,
I don't know if I want to.
I don't think he wants to.
You want my job? We'll trade. Okay, crap.
But
how do you strategize and execute on when you have such a broad
it's a very good question. I thought about it on my very warm bike ride here, but today actually on the way here. But I think that's the key task for me, right? We are in so many different playing fields, and we have so many. We're present in like 40 countries, and we have our own stores. We have online. We have wholesale. We have we have products ranging from 300 kroner to 25,000, and we have
such a broad range.
Range, and we wanna we wanna allow everyone to express themselves with our jewelry. So figuring out what playing fields are the most important ones for the business is basically my job.
Yeah.
So we do of course work on strategy, but we also like start from the basics. We want to communicate our materials. We want to communicate styling as a concept. We want to communicate our piercings. And when that's in place. Then we can, start working on different things. And right now we're also working a lot, on segmentation. And we've had so many talks about this, because how do we cut this cake?
Yeah.
In terms of data points, where can we, get first-party data? What can we do if we don't have it? Where can we get insights from? Yeah. Because there's so many different ways into this. Yeah. And then it's just about testing, I guess, what works and what doesn't work. And over time figure out, be smart about it.
Yeah, I guess as more of a fashion... I mean, it's sort of like, it's nice that you guys can kind of take some pages out of a fashion brand's playbook by doing drops, hey, this is the latest seasonal things. And that also gives you a reason to talk to customers. Because I think also some jewelry companies are stuck on just, they don't have a reason to communicate. Yeah. Whereas you guys have a reason every single season to say, hey, this latest thing is in, or what have you. And because the brand has been about expressing yourself and changing things out and optimizing and upgrading, you have a path to the consumer which allows you to talk more efficiently. Because other jewelry brands, they sell you one necklace and that's it. Whereas you guys have like a line of communication. Hey, you can do this with it, you can do that with it, add this part, add that part. Hey, did you know we're releasing a new version of that coming up?
Yeah, and this can go on your earring that you bought last year.
Yeah, exactly, right? So you have, I think, more reasons, which I think is also really smart. Like, so it's not just, I think like you went back when you talk about being a CMO, it's like kind of everything. It's also product development in some ways, like
for sure.
Talking about, okay, what do we do with this when it's coming out, and then having an opportunity to actually be creative around it.
Give all collections a reason to come back, because then you can style in a different way.
Yeah, and I think that's a very good point, because we also like since we've been doing this 4 drops a year kind of thing, with also of course the small extra drops and the collaborations and blah blah blah, but we're also kind of skating a little bit back from only being relevant when we have a new collection, also talking about the core of the concept or the brand, and have our community sort of push them a little bit out there to talk about how they style with jewelry and all these kind of things. So we are trying to find the right mix between those two strategies. But you're totally right, it is a blessing to have new stuff coming that often, and big thoughts go into the design process, and the inspiration comes from I could walk you through the very first deck that I saw from the 23 collection, and it's like there's a million ideas, and it's amazing. It's amazing. And our design team and Maria, who is still there, they are doing such a good job in finding inspiration everywhere. But it's also then our idea and our task to really narrow that down and get the story straight, and
because there's so many stories.
What do we leverage here from this deck? We can't communicate all 200 slides. We communicate 2 at a time.
We shape it together, and it's nice, and then it becomes a thing. And that's fun.
Yeah, I think that's smart, because you can see brands in your space like Pandora or others that have maybe slipped up because they've had too much to communicate and too many things to do. So I think that's also, and also, how do you also not become that so ubiquitous brand that everybody has it in the world? Like you kind of want to also, imagining that you also want to be a little bit more, not exclusive, but you want, like, because you do have a range, but you want to also be not just the standard stuff.
We want to, and I think that comes to show in our the way we do photo shoots, content, the models we choose, the community we have, the designs we make. Of course, I mean, talking about Pandora and stuff like that, that's a whole other different league, and it's a whole different thing, you know, because it's like a massive global, and not everybody, but a lot of people has it. I think it lies in Maria Black that we are trying to move away from standard things, you know, and trying to develop and trying to push things, and I think that's just the nature of the people in the company and the founder and the owners of the company. That's the way we do things.
You can see it definitely in the communication. Like I feel like you guys have a more gritty sort of, I would say like, I don't know how to approach it, but it's like there's almost a rebellious sort of feeling to it, right? Like it kind of feels countercultural in some ways, which I really love about the brand. And I think that's the first thing when I got into it, I was like, wow, okay, this is different. I didn't expect this. It's got high-end pricing on some things, but then it's also got like a range, and it's also got this very youthful expression that I think is really important to have in jewelry these days, right? Because people are buying at a younger age, and even having a piercing thing is quite also towards a younger segment, right? Because a 60-year-old woman's not going to need piercings necessarily. maybe an extra few up here.
If a van parks in front of her house, and maybe she might.
Maybe I like this idea as well, but I think like
knocking on people's doors, like, hey, would you like a piercing?
Yeah.
No.
If you're over 60, it's free.
No, but that
door-to-door piercings.
Again,
hey, what's up?
Now we're also trying to work on kind of how we do content. Based on more knowledge about customers, more knowledge about the different kind of customer, because it's also of course there's a difference between someone who buys a very like classic looking solid gold piece with a diamond on to someone that buys one of our pop coins with a zodiac sign and puts it in her ring and earring, and really like style it and really is into, and it's two very different
it's a statement suddenly also,
and it's two very different customer journeys, and it's two very different segments that we have to deal with, but we're working on that.
Do you find that it's also going very wide in sort of people's expression? Like you've got like a pearl what do you call this, bracelet on. I mean, that's also that's sort of new. I don't think I've ever seen a pearl bracelet in my life. But I'm not really in the industry. Yes, exactly right, which I think is super interesting in that, and also from a like there's less gender in jewelry nowadays than there was maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Definitely.
How are you guys also dealing with that? Are you guys able to communicate?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we it's not we have for like, I don't know, 5 years have had a core strategic concept about being we call it beyond, which is basically so that we don't talk about gender, we don't talk about age, we don't talk about religion, we don't talk about anything, and we don't produce. So you won't be able to go to a website and say jewelry for men or women or
so there's no category,
non-binary or whatever. And we started that 5 years ago, and we are just really happy that we did that now, because we want to invite everyone, and we don't care who you are.
You guys were ahead of the curve, I think.
I think so too. I wasn't involved in that, so I can't take any credit. So, but it's very nice for me now to work with that kind of thing, because it is a very important
it's not a challenge you have to it's not an issue, exactly.
No, it's not an issue for us, but it's an issue in the world, and it's and I'm really happy that we are ahead of the curve and have been designing for this instead of
jumping on
something, and we still have a lot of work to do in it, and we still have a lot of like thoughts to and kind of also support various causes in this sense. But I think it's just an important thing, and it's also all genders are now wearing much more jewelry than before. Males like myself, they we see so many different kinds of people coming to want piercings, pearl bracelets, goldfish earrings, all kinds of things that we just launched a goldfish earring. That's really cool.
Nice. Exactly. Do you want to tell them the URL?
Link below,
We will make sure that you guys see it somewhere. If you send us a photo, it'll be in the shot, okay? I promise.
Kylie Jenner has been wearing it. So
okay, there we go.
Maybe you have seen it. No.
We'll throw up a photo of Kylie Jenner wearing the goldfish.
No, but
call 1-800.
Exactly.
Goldfish.
You can buy it straight here from the but yeah, it's a important thing for us,
Of
and
course.
we invite everyone into our universe if they want to.
Does that translate well into all the markets you are in? Because I know you guys are kind of trying to expand and scale.
Yeah.
Is there different strategies depending on which market you enter, or is it like applicable for all the markets?
I think that specific thing is so core that it is applicable to everything. It's not. That's not like a. It's not a question of tactics or efficiency. It's just that's what we are. So you know, take it or leave it. You know, essentially. But of course, we also know that there are tactical tools, or that where we have to target a gender or target an age group or target, because that's the possibility we have. So of course we work with it in that sense, but
you're typically not going to target like a 25,000 krona something towards a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old or something. Like, it's probably, that's what you mean by like there's differences also in the price point.
And there's a lot of, we of course, like every other brand, want to show what's most relevant for the people seeing it. And that of course we have to work with targeting in some way.
Is that getting harder for you guys? And we talked a little bit before the podcast started about first party data.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of brands that we have here, like, they are not struggling that much with it, but have some considerations about targeting and how do we actually reach customers now in the new age of privacy and data. What's your take on that? Like, are you guys finding it to be more difficult than it was a year ago, or? Yeah,
now I haven't even been in the brand for a year, but so I can only respond from my sort of personal point of view. And I think, yes, it is becoming more difficult, but I have also come to some sort of realization that the whole, super hyper targeted personalization, happy days of programmatic buying is maybe a little bit over for me, and I believe so much more in building a strong brand on every touch point, and then harvesting from
letting
that.
It fall.
Exactly, because we are going into a time where we are not going to be able to target through cookies or whatever. That will happen. I think Google just postponed their cookieless launch, but still it's going to happen within the next 2 years, 3 years maybe, where we almost can.
So branding is really important.
Branding is super important, and I think it's becoming more and more important. Also, we talked a lot about what channels are the right ones for us.
You guys are present on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, right?
Yes, Pinterest, but not in most. That's for different markets mostly. And then we have, of course, Google, Microsoft Search, blah blah blah, all these things. But and we're also talking, what email, WhatsApp, SMS, Messenger, whatever. Where are we going to focus? And before it's like, the youth all on TikTok. No, they are also reading emails, and they're also going to Instagram, and they also so there's you have so many different.
They're also at events, and
you're like you can go to the store. You're also in. You also go to Zalando, you go to Net-a-Porter, and where you also meet our brand, So there's such a crazy amount of touch points. And I think you just, what I've been thinking is like a clear and really good brand experience everywhere is more important than, being hyper targeted to as almost a single person,
Do you find that to be hard, having that unified brand experience across all channels? Like, does that take that you guys have really strong internal teams and really strong agencies to help you, or is it? Would you recommend for other CMOs to have like a really strong just in-house team that's going to run that, or how do you look at it? Like, how do you guys get that unified brand experience? Because it is so many channels, right? And not every agency does that. So you got to go to this agency for email, and this agency for social, and this agency for search. Like, how do you do that?
It's hard, definitely, and it's we are not in any way finished with that project yet. But because there are so many different things, and I mean, again, prioritization in terms of what's most important for the business, what is the area. Then maybe there's a wrong pack shot in some wholesale clients catalog. We're gonna have to live with that, But if we just I mean, structuring your content, getting the most out of your content, being creative, having the core ideas, I think should be in-house.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, like specific, strategies of especially paid media is hard for us at least to in-source. But also like, we've used art direction agency, freelancers agencies, social media agencies. We have most sort of content development in-house with, externals sometimes, but
augmenting it a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But going to agencies for inspiration or for ideations or stuff like that is definitely a thing. Yeah. But it's also I have a million ideas, but it's also things take time.
Yeah, how do you execute on it?
Yeah, and what do you execute first? Because essentially, I would just like to do like this, and then everything was done, and then now we can start developing more, right? But that's not the case.
No, what? It's not like that?
No, it's not like that, unfortunately.
Shit.
Yeah.
No,
shit.
But it's,
But how do you bond with your communities then? Because there are so many touch points and on so many platforms, and there's an overlap, but there is also core segments on different channels.
Definitely.
Sorry.
Have a... You okay?
What? It's okay, Cubby. Did you see that? I was coughing, and Siri's like, "It's okay. It's gonna be okay." What happened there? That's creepy as
fuck
Christ.
Oh my god.
Okay, sorry about that, guys.
No, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Siri, he's okay.
I'm okay, Siri. I'm okay. Don't call the ambulance yet.
No.
Comes with age. I think it checks in on you.
Wow. That's
crazy
weird.
Technology.
Yeah. Sorry about that. What were we talking about?
I was asking how do you bond with the community? I mean, when there are so many different touch points and platforms, and they have different audiences.
Yeah, for sure. So we are lucky enough to have a really good team in-house working.
How many are you again?
On my team, we're like, I think 10 people. 8 maybe, yeah. It's a good size, and we are really lucky to have some really good people who handles our community. We have Denmark is the biggest market for us, and we have a really good community in Copenhagen. And we, it's about being, it's relationships, being, available, being, talk to them, get them to come to the showroom, style them, do events.
What's your tone of voice when you have such a big range? Do you have one unified voice that you say, this is what we roll with? We are trendy, we are hyper, we are cute, we're kind. What's kind of the tonality?
It's right now it's a work in progress. But I think no.
Love that answer.
What's your tone of voice? Work in progress. I love that actually. I love this. You're just
always developing, right?
Yeah,
I love
definitely.
this.
No, but I think we have a tone of voice, and I think we do have a certain brand voice that's sort of translating through most, but we don't have like we are right now formulating the tone of voice, I would say, like putting it onto paper.
But I also think
a little bit.
it is not per se a working progress. Maybe it will always be a working progress. I think
hope
it's
so.
like developing your brand. Like it's something that's organic.
So.
It has to move. It has to develop.
Yeah,
so
I mean, like
you're never done.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen so many changes on tone of voice in brands. They become way more authentic. They become, even some brands have the tone of voice of the social media manager as their tone of voice, right? Hey, social media manager for Maria Black checking in. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Like, there's also been a lot of that lately, and a lot of tone of voices have changed, like to be more funny. Especially on Twitter, for example, a lot of brands have just gone. Almost jumped the shark in some ways, and have just been super weird and sort of interesting in some ways. So it is a work in progress, I think, for most brands.
And then
per platform,
we're not big enough to have like a very specific tone of voice. But I would say that for each platform. But I would say now, for instance, Instagram and TikTok are very, they're very different in terms of what we do and what we post. And right now we're experimenting with TikTok, so we're just trying stuff out, and I think that's cool,
smart as well.
And just see what works for us. And one person from the office was just on holiday, and she brought some jewelry, and she was doing some TikToks there, and it's like, great,
why not?
Why not? And people seem to like it. So
I think it also kind of adapts that mentality you were mentioning in the beginning. Like, be curious. Like, you don't have to close yourself off to anything. There is inspiration and creativity in every corner if you just look.
Exactly, and it doesn't need to be completely polished and very like clean
has to be one
and
way.
stuff. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like that. It has been at Maria Black at one point, but we've kind of tried to go in a different direction. That, as you said, a bit more like authentic and a bit more sort of connecting to who we are talking to, and not just.
You must also leverage influencers, I guess, because you were mentioning you also had some influencer events, and then obviously online. That's a big plus for you guys to leverage influencers communities.
Definitely.
Yeah. How do you strategize around that? Like, do you guys have that mapped out?
Yeah, I would say
per platform.
Yeah, not per platform actually. We work because also like as I said before in the beginning, we're working with a big community of cool people who are, some are influencers, some just have a lot of followers because they are doing something else, and then are they an influencer? I don't know, but that's a wording thing. But most of them also, then they have this on TikTok and this on Instagram, and still have audiences on all platforms. They just communicate differently, and then we kind of just give them some jewelry and keep them in touch with the brand, and then they wear it, and then.
Okay, so it's mostly a strategy of
exposure.
Yeah, like product gifting.
Yeah, and then we are like starting to use it more as sort of a tactical campaigns and giving using for sales, for instance. When we have a sale, we only have sale 2 times a year, so it's like we can communicate that, and we also then we pay someone to do a story about a piercing or whatever, so we are looking, but it's a new thing to the brand.
That's cool.
And I know that a lot of people have been working with it for a while, but we've also been blessed with a good some really good relationships with, and we
people
still are.
And
people wanted to share it anyway.
Like Kylie Jenner,
Kylie Jenner is
and the royalties.
And the royalties, exactly.
So they're just sharing it on their own. I mean, isn't that the best kind of marketing that you can have? Like when somebody, you're not paying them you're not sponsoring them with either gifts or actual money. They're just sharing it because they love your product.
Yeah, that is great. The problem is to translate it into business sometimes, right? Because we also, compared to a fashion brand where I saw Justin Bieber, I think, in a Range jacket, where you can see that it's a Range jacket, like the Danish brand Range, and then the next couple of weeks after, he was in like a Woodwood cap where it just says Woodwood on all over, right? And we have a fucking small piece of silver, and what is that? Nobody can see it. So and that's kind of when we were lucky enough to have a lot of jewelry on Kylie Jenner. She's been wearing it for the last few months. You have the world's biggest influencer. Yeah. I don't know if she's
How did that happen? Did she just discover that on her own, or
her stylist? I think discovered it maybe, or saw it or knew it or whatever. And then we have a really good team executing that. And then we, of course, if you have above 300 million followers, then it's fine. Then you can get some jewelry.
No, Chris, that's what you.
That's not me. I had 300 million. I better work on it.
Lab-grown diamond earring. You gotta.
Crap. Yeah. Okay.
No, but
I'll work on it.
Dude, please call me.
Yeah, I will.
But it's absolutely amazing, and it's great that a person like that will wear our stuff, and it's just a proof of what we do works, in that sense. But that was a very frustrating moment for me because I still have such a hard time figuring out how to translate it, because we can't use her content because then we'll be sued out of our minds, because it's her stuff.
You can't even like put it in Instagram stories and be like, hey,
we can repost if she tags us in a way, something like that. But then we've been trying a lot of things, because there's also like what is Kylie Jenner wearing profiles on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, right? And then we've been talking to them. So it's like, and
that's a smart idea.
I realized that you can pay, but these people also are paid influencers, So they're like a sub-influencer, almost in a way.
They're like a media. They want to be paid for that editorial.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
to say that they are wearing our brand.
That's smart
it's
business
big business,
Yeah, that's.
Don't say that to Chris. He will start something like that.
Who says I haven't?
Okay. Maybe it's you behind that.
Maybe you should call him.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I think that's I think it's an interesting business model as well, because it is like. It's like Alt Fedema or like any of these sort of magazines now that like they also are featuring products and showing what other people are wearing, and there's a business there, right? That people call and say, "Hey, I would like to get featured in this," and it's like, okay, here's the top 10 products of the summer, right? And
exactly.
It's all sort of dealt and sort of paid for. So
but you kind of figure out, there's just this, one of her posts with our earring, perfectly in the middle, great shot, like 6 million likes, and we're like,
how do we
do
that
this?
traffic?
Exactly.
How do we bring this
and
to us?
commenting everywhere, and trying to get press to write about it. But it's hard, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I was just a little bit annoyed at
it's an opportunity for development there.
Yeah. So if there's any good ideas out there, please let me know.
Do you have one?
I would just do a post like, we're not gonna not say that Kylie Jenner wore our makeup or make jewelry. Yeah, maybe a post like that. Actually, go look at Jaja Tequila. They just did a post similar to this, where they were like, they heard on the podcast of Brett Kreischer. You know Brett Kreischer? He's a comedian. Anyway, he mentioned that he drinks Blanco tequila. So they said they saw that and they sent him a DM saying, "Hey, we'd like to make you a sponsor or make you a spokesperson for us." And then they just post about that process. Right? So they're showing behind the scenes of how does it take what does it take to get somebody as a spokesperson. So maybe there's something in that. Maybe there's something.
Maybe we should actually just use this problem. Post a question.
How do we because she's obviously worn our jewelry. How do we get in touch?
Help us
get in touch with Kylie Jenner.
Help us get tagged by Kylie Jenner so we can repost on stories.
So I mean, activating your community. I don't think that's illegal.
No, that's not. It's not. But it's nice. It's funny.
Of course.
And then we have, like you said, the royalties. We had the British, what is she even, princess or something, Kate Middleton, who was in our jewelry when she was visiting Denmark at one point, and that just skyrocketed. We sold so many of these earrings because she's apparently there's a hashtag called the Kate effect.
The Kate effect.
Yeah, which is like, every magazine from, not every magazine, but all the way from Middleton, which is like a royal magazine, tabloid, I don't know, thing in Denmark, to British Vogue, wrote about this, that she was wearing our brand, and that just
great
worked.
Publicity.
So
and you can't plan for these.
We couldn't plan for it. No.
Okay.
We didn't know. It was also a stylist.
I'm gonna start sending.
Maybe we should start targeting stylists
and
all these.
We are,
and DM them, and
we are focusing much more on that, and because they also
good opportunity.
They also put stuff in TV shows and movies and music videos and all this kind of stuff. That's their job, right? And they put jewelry on the big stars and on influencers and whatnot. So we are that's definitely a key influencer thing as well.
I want to end on the future outlook note. What does the future look for Maria Black branding? And then what's your ambition?
My ambition is to create a unified brand on all platforms and all touch points, and everywhere you meet our brand, it's a good goal. Built the way we want it. I can't say how I want it specifically because I have some ideas on where we are going but I also want to, I don't have we want to be like Nike. We want to be like whoever, but I think it will develop and it will change and we will repurpose.
As it should.
But
having that unified thing across.
A unified thing across that communicates and shows our core values, which is about doing better for the planet, inviting people to express themselves in our jewelry. I think that's the end goal, and then of course scaling the business and scaling the whole thing.
Where do you think it'll get to? What are you guys at today in terms of sales, if you can say that, or reach?
We are in about 40 countries and we have 8 stores, and we are opening one soon, and we are there's a lot of potential, but I also have to admit that right now, with the situation of the world, jewelry is not the easiest industry to be in.
No, that's true.
Because and
people are like slowing down their buying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when the economy is going a bit south as it is at the moment, it's a little bit harder to sell jewelry because it's one of the first things that people skip in their budget. And I think that for a lot of fashion and for a lot of jewelry, you can see that by all the sales that are going on. Everyone thought that after COVID, right, it was just like, okay, e-commerce, let's go. It's gonna be crazy. Everyone bought everything, all the goods they could have, and then boom, Russia into Ukraine, everything just falls down, right? Supply chain crisis, all these kind of things. And I think that's talks even more into the whole sort of thing about branding and think about, because if you have that core good brand experience across all platforms, then you're not as dependent on
vulnerable.
Vulnerable, exactly. Or if let's say I was thinking at one point, what if Instagram all of a sudden closes down ads or closes down completely? How many brands will just die? Because there's so many brands that are just based on that platform,
that channel.
One channel, right? And Mark Zuckerberg sits somewhere and then he's like, oh yeah, let's turn this off. It's not gonna happen, I know, but if it happened, or if now cookies, good thing, right? There's a lot of brands super dependent on that, and so I think that's like an important learning
core
for this.
Good brand will always be worth
always
something.
be there, and it will be translational.
Doesn't matter what platform you're on. Doesn't matter what cookie happens.
Exactly.
If you have a strong brand, people will buy.
They will, and if they have a connection to us, then they'll buy us instead of someone else, and that's essentially what I'm looking to do with my great team.
I love it.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
So, guys, here you have it. Morten Løwenstein, CMO at Maria Black's take on the secret spice ingredient that he's still working on for Maria Black's brand management. Exactly. It's an ongoing thing, developing your brand. So, thank you guys for listening, and tune in for the next one.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks.
Great episode, man. That was awesome.
This has been the Social Media Sucks Podcast.